immediately following SmackDown was the WWE Hall of Fame. And I got to admit, they did a great turnaround job. SmackDown goes off the air at 10 o'clock, and by 10:15, they've got the talent set up in chairs on the stage. They've redressed the ring to more of a platform podium type of thing, and they were ready to switch over. But what I couldn't understand, did you watch the thing from the start, the first 15 minutes?
I think so for the most part. During the pre-show switchover, I kind of went outside and smoked a joint. But other than that,
hey,
I saw most of it. Hey, what? It's legal. What's your problem?
What in the heck? Well, we don't want to act like we're encouraging the kids to do the.
I'm not encouraging the kids to do the heroin or whatever it is you think. No.
You know what? By the way, did you see these fucking Republican assholes? These tight ass, stick up their ass motherfuckers. 202 of 205 of them in the House voted against decriminalizing and marijuana and blah, 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 because they said, well, we don't want people selling drugs to the kids. It was like an episode of Dragnet from 1968 with Jack Webb and Harry Morgan, where the girl left the baby in the bathtub because she was stoned. He drowned.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is, do we think that there's going to be more kids smoking because they're going to go, well, now it's legal. So
Yeah.
now, oh, give me a break. If you want it, you can get it. Anytime, any place.
Yeah, it's
especially
not
if you're me.
Like it, it's not like it would be hard either way, but it just, again, the most obnoxiously asshole-ish, backwards, stick in the mud, people that you wouldn't want to be around. Anyway, nevertheless, speaking of people you wouldn't want to be around, all the people on the pre-show, because they knew they were going to have some time. So they got Cole and McAfee there at ringside, and McAfee can talk his ass off. He was vaccinated with a phonograph needle. But they've got 18 million hosts and interviewers. They go back to, in the back, Maria Menouno and Kayla Braxton, Corey Graves, Byron Saxton or Byron Allen.
I believe her name is Maria Menouno. It's not Maria Menudo, and it's not Byron Allen. I can tell you that.
It's Maria Menouno, right? No? What? I'm serious.
It's Maria Menounos.
Menounos?
I believe
that doesn't sound right.
Now you got me questioning myself. Hold on.
It's Maria Menouno.
Maria. No, you see, I was right. Maria Menounos.
Oh, what kind of name is Menounos?
I think it's Greek. Probably, if I had to guess.
That's Greek to me. But anyway, they had a nice package on the inductees with the NFL voiceover guy, but they kept going back to the hosts, and it was blathering. It was meaningless chatter. You couldn't have had Cole and McAfee pitch to the actual host, Kayla and Corey Graves, and then had them pitch to a really fantastic 8 or 9 minute VTR package that they've pre-produced to cover the rest of the time for changing the set, and then come back to the host to give it the intro. I don't know. And the Hall of Fame package through the years, they had a couple of nice packages, but there was a lot of blather in the middle. And did you see? Okay, Maria Menouno, Johnny Boo Boo. What the moo? What? I'm doing a sitcom from the 60s, and I can't remember what it was. But anyway, Maria interviewed Glenn Jacobs. Is he shrinking? Because he's standing next to, who was it? Byron Saxton. I don't know how tall he is, but he didn't have more than 6 inches on Maria. If that. It was jarring. Or maybe she's in high heels. But how high can her heels be? What is it? Is this woman playing the WNBA? Menudo Mania?
No, it's not Menudo once again, but no, I believe she's just, average, maybe 5'7", 5'8" at the most.
Well, then somebody has Glenn Jacobs has had a shinectomy. They've taken his shins out because he's shorter than he used to be. But anyway, I'm watching on the cock, right? And Michael Cole says, ladies and gentlemen, the Hall of Fame starts now at, what was it, 12:15 a.m. It says the Hall, no, it was 10:15 a.m.
That's right. It wasn't that late yet.
Yeah, I'd be up later. 10:15 p.m. Eastern time. The Hall of Fame starts now, and Peacock goes to 3 minutes of commercials. So that was a bait and switch pitch. Again, all of their cold open, the clips, the sound bites, all that stuff is good. I miss Jerry Lawler as the host of the Hall of Fame. I mean, Kayla Braxton, Corey Graves wrestled at one point. Kayla Braxton just looks like she wandered in from a casting call for hand models.
Oh, she's fine. She does a good job.
But they look great on a game show. This is a wrestling Hall of Fame show. I want to hear Jerry Lawler with some fucking zingers. Nevertheless.
He was probably afraid someone would come up and slap him.
And right there, that would have been great. If they'd have got Jim Carrey, who's pissed at Will Smith, to come over and fucking slap Lawler like Lawler slapped him when they remade the movie about Lawler slapping Kaufman.
That's funny.
I'm getting slap happy. So the Steiners were first. And they did the package. And actually, I was reminded of something that I didn't remember until I heard it. Did you hear my audio? And they carefully edited around me with Yoko and with other places, other people. But my audio was in a lot of the Steiners because it was WCW footage, and I was doing the commentary with Jim Ross on a lot of these programs. But did you hear my audio on the interview?
I believe so. I remember you a few times, especially during the Vader one, too.
Well, the one that I make mention of it because I'd forgotten this. The interview that I did with the Steiners on the Clash of Champions, it was, I don't know if it was Fall Brawl, but it was the fall of 1989, was where he first named the Frankensteiner.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, of course.
Because you hear me asking, wow, that's a fantastic move you got there. What do you call it? Because I was doing a Louisville Slugger segment with the Steiners that night. Was that earlier the night when we were in Troy, New York? Was it November or was it more like August-ish in Columbia, South Carolina? It was one of the two of those. But nevertheless, I asked him what he called because we had set that up because earlier in the day, I can't remember whether we asked him what he called it or he had come to me and said, hey, what do you think about this? But he came up with it. We're going to call it the Frankensteiner. I said, that's great. I said, so I'll ask you in the interview tonight what you call it. So that was the first time that was mentioned on the air, that they got that little clip. Anyway, and then they bring Braun Breaker out. Now the mystery is over, but I mean, it wasn't any mystery. And now you see, he looks just like him. He looks just fucking like his father and wrestled just like his father. And when he came out, Braun in the suit and, got in the ring and started talking, I closed my eyes and I hear Rick Steiner's voice in the locker room. Not like doing a promo, just his real voice.
It's funny because I heard Scott more than even Rick.
Really?
Yeah, especially because Scott was the first one to get on the mic when the brothers came out. And if you were not looking at the monitor, it sounded like Braun was still on the mic.
Well, I know the quality that Scott has, that Kenny like that in it a little bit, right? But Braun has Rick's cadence and delivery, I think, to me. But they're all close. It's not like the Rick and Scott are not like Dory and Terry. They have resemblances in a variety of places. I noticed that Rick has gone bald, poor fella, but he should have used the keeps. That's a free one. Anyway, he introduced the Steiners. Braun did with the joke about, putting his Uncle Scott on the live microphone, which was great. I'm not sure exactly why that Scott's story about Randy Savage and the cow calling contest made the cut as the best story that he could tell at the Hall of Fame. But then again, sometimes these things just come off the top of Scotty's head. But for Scott, that was a heartfelt speech. And he came out, he didn't have any notes. I saw they did have a teleprompter. I know for a fact there's a teleprompter there. Whether everybody was using it or not, I can't say. Rick pulled notes out of his pocket, and by the time Scott got finished, Scott didn't have any notes, but Rick didn't have any time. He said, "Thanks for leaving me 1 minute." But he did a nice close. But I would have liked to have seen them go a little longer, just from some of the other things that we got before we got to the main event of the evening. But otherwise, that was a good way to start everything off. Everybody, I think the universal agreement, Steiners belong in any kind of Hall of Fame. So it wasn't a controversial pick, and it helps get one of their biggest new star, the star of the future, over. So I like that segment immensely.
It was really nice to see. Obviously, this was the opportunity to change Braun Breaker's name and officially make him a Steiner, and they decided not to do that.
But at least they acknowledged the relationship, and now it just makes it look all stupider in front of the fans. Well, if he's Rick Steiner's son, why is his name Breaker? But otherwise.
One of my favorite tag teams ever. They were just so dynamic, and I'm really happy to see them get this from WWE. I never thought it would happen. It's weird seeing what I can only describe as a vulnerable Scott Steiner.
Yes. Yeah, because you can tell that he wasn't just jacking off about the whole thing. He was happy to be there and was into it. And that's sort of, genuine.
The only thing I could think was, and I'm sure it wasn't it, but when it first happened, I was like, oh, Scott Steiner on open mic, what would he do? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is talk about the Macho Man. I mean, what way to piss off Vince. But it was nice. It was nice to see them honored. It was nice to see, I realized, because, you hear a lot of fans talk about the WWE Hall of Fame or other Hall of Fames, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or other Wrestling Hall of Fames. And they'll say, oh, what does it really mean? Who votes for it? It's stupid. It's this and that. But for the guys, it means something. And I think for certain guys, it may hit them that in a way, this is their public goodbye.
Yeah.
From a big stage. So it was nice to see the Steiners for what I assume will be one last time on a national stage.
Well, I can't think that now that they have acknowledged the relationship that they're not going to do something at least with Rick, even if Scott maybe, may not be trustworthy in their eyes or whatever. But they've got to do something with Rick when there's going to be some angle at some point where somebody needs to get heat on Braun without beating that kid up and making him vulnerable. And there comes the dog-faced gremlin to the rescue, I think. They'll be crazy if they don't do it. Anyway, coming up next, now we go to the female side of things. We've gone over this. Queen Sharmell. Nice lady, pretty, smart, easy to work with. Great person, did what she did well. Hall of Fame? I don't want it to be like I'm being sexist or whatever, but I just, and with Booker inducted her, and it's kind of like he's in. He mentioned not only is he in as a single, but then he and his brother in as Harlem Heat, and now his wife is in. Did he get the family plan? Well,
maybe Greg Gagne signed him to a deal.
But I just that took a second. And Eddie Auger. So point being, again, I like Sharmell and enjoyed working with her and being around her, but I think back to when they wouldn't let Pat Patterson induct Ray Stevens in San Francisco. And I'm just so okay. And this went more than 4 minutes. Steiner said they had 4 minutes to talk. This went more than 4 minutes, but nevertheless, here's what I took away from this segment and the previous segments in the show so far. I wish instead of thanking Vince, they would ban the words entertain, entertainer, and character. and from the entire program, because it just goes through, flames my ass every time. They stick it in where it's not even necessary to make sure that everybody knows that this whole thing's phony and we've been pulling your all's leg all this time. It's more Academy Awards than Sports Hall of Fame ceremony. Entertain, entertainer, and character. Sorry.
You don't have to apologize to me. And by the way, what a good-looking woman.
Oh,
not you, Charmel.
Wait, what? Oh, sure, we're going back to Charmel.
I'm talking about you in '84 in Mid-South.
Yeah, well, when I dressed up that time and hit Ricky Morton in the head with a purse with a brick in it. All right, and next up, I am not going to in any way criticize, because you can't, the Warrior Award recipient Shad Gaspard, or any segment involving the footage of him, his family's acceptance, whatsoever, the package that and I guess now with the cell phones and the smartphones and everything, you just have video of just all your mundane daily life things, because that's what this was. And it would have been about as exciting as watching somebody's, home movies from their vacation, except for what happened. And then now it transformed it into, they've got all this footage of him and his son training together and playing together and talking to each other like that. And it was just fucking heartbreaking. That, because you can tell that story, but I mean, think about it. Until all of the cell phone, everybody's got a camera in their pocket now, almost everybody except me. Nobody really you had home video from people that got cameras in the 80s and 90s, but nobody had extensive home video like that you could put something like that together. You never knew you would need video like that until something like that happens. And then that was a real, package of real video, not staged, put together in a professional way, but not any kind of work like you usually see on any kind of television program. And it just made you feel so sorry for that guy and for his family and etc. And so that was fantastic. But the problem I had, they couldn't have had, like Jason, JTG, his partner, Shad's partner, or one of the boys that was close friends with Shad and his family present this award. They had to have, and after that package, and everybody's teared up, and out comes Dana Warrior, that shrieking right-wing harpy twat, to the Ultimate Warrior's music. You went from, oh my God, this is heartbreaking, to I can't believe they're doing this now. And she is a public speaker on the par with her husband, because this was fucking rotten. She had written and or memorized or was reading from a teleprompter something that sounded good to her, but nobody understood what the fuck she was saying. She's a horrible public speaker. And this pissed me off for Shad Gaspard, that he didn't have a better induction. Am I being too hard on it?
It would have been nice for Shad Gaspard to have a better induction, but the reason they created this award was to have Dana Warrior come out there each year and do this.
Well, then they need to rethink their fucking original idea. Because she's not a good speaker. Didn't have anything to do with these people. And she's worse than her husband on the we don't want to see this fucking list. But then his wife and son accepted. It took me a second, because in all the pictures and everything, she had dark black hair. And suddenly she's platinum blonde. So I was like, wait a minute, what? I had to back up. Did I miss something?
I thought it was Dana Brooke for a second.
It was closer than the pictures that we saw, but nevertheless. She did a nice speech for a non-public speaker. she was, and she had her son there. And of course, we can't criticize or critique his wife's speech in a situation like this. I'm sure she was nervous, but she wasn't a public speaker like some of these people aren't, but she did a good job. I heard one time there was a survey, this was years ago, that more people in America were afraid of speaking in public than death. Have you ever heard that?
I haven't heard that specific stat, but it makes some sense.
It was more people. This was the takeaway from the poll. More people are afraid of speaking in public than death. And I'm like, I'll take the risk on door number one. But anyway, besides for having to look at another camera hog member of the Hellwig family, this was very nice and I thought deserved. And a lot of people were saying they should have done it last year. I guess last year's was already set or whatever. Are we moving on?
Let's move on. I agree with you. There's nothing really to be added to that, but it's nice that they honored Chad Gaspard. It's nice that his son got to experience this.
And then, speaking of sons, another son and wife were accepting this one, the next induction, the man they call Vader. What time is it? I've told this before. It may have been a long time ago on the podcast. Haven't done it in a while, but you know Vince hated that, right? What time is it?
No, I didn't know he hated that, no.
It was January 1996, right, that Vader came in. We were in California, and his first night in, he does the thing. I can't even remember. He had a match, but then, and I can't remember who he wrestled. But then we did the angle with Monsoon, right? Where he beat up Gorilla Monsoon and got suspended so he could go have what we thought was going to be brief shoulder surgery, blah, blah, blah. But nevertheless, this was back before the days where there was any kind of a script or anything written specifically. And besides, if there would have been a script, I was the one that was writing them. Me and Bruce Pritchard, we were the writing team. So the deal is I'm supposed to go out, and nobody knows because it's before widespread internet, and we actually kayfabed shit back then, so nobody knew in the arena that night that Vader was going to make his debut. So I'm going to go out, and I'm going to do a big build-up and a big intro, and then here comes Vader down to the ring, and then we do all the stuff we're going to do. So, of course, Vince has never seen Vader wrestle or on television because he'd only been on WCW and, you know, every other promotion in the world except Vince's. And he didn't know it's time, it's Vader time. He didn't know what time is it. He didn't know the V hand signal. He didn't know any of this shit. But of course I do because I've been watching him on WCW for 5 fucking years. So I go out and I start the big build-up, and just when I get to what time is it like that, then you hear the people, oh shit, it's Vader. And it was a surprise to him. It's time, and I make the symbol, it's Vader time. And they hit the music, and here he comes, and the place is blowing the babies, right? Because, oh shit, this is a WCW former world champion. We didn't know he was coming. You can imagine it'd be the same thing today, only they'd know ahead of time. They'd still cheer. After the segment was over with whatever, Vince said, don't do that. What? It's time thing. What? They were cheering him. I said, well, he didn't want, and I understand this in some respect, and I'll tell you where I differentiate. He didn't want the people cheering a heel. Well, I don't either. But I also knew that because of the magnitude of this promotional switch from WCW to WWF, and a guy's never been here, and everybody knows who it is, and he's coming in as himself, the place is going to blow because they're seeing a happening. And so that's why I said, Vince, I said, they're happy he's here. Now we're going to piss him off. But he was, oh, no, don't do the, it's time, and don't, they're cheering that. He'd never seen it before, so he didn't know. He may have thought we came up with it that night and it got the wrong reaction.
Did Vader know that you and Jimmy Del Rey were doing his thing in Smoky Mountain where you would get on the rope and do the V? I say, who's the man? Who's the man?
I don't think we mentioned that to Leon. But that was on our own time. But anyway, so the Vader package, and my voice is in some of that, a brief flash of my face. I think they're trying to steal, because I called them at one time about the royalties on the World's Greatest Manager DVD. I think they're trying to keep me from getting sick and Stephen P. New on them. But Vader's son, Jesse, and Vader's wife, Debbie, I think, his mother, Jesse's mother, obviously, they accepted for him. And I got to be honest, the women's dresses and high heels it took 15 minutes for everybody to get to the ring. Did you see that? I don't know how they walk in these things. But Jesse was good and fairly personable. So that was a fairly high point. But at that point, did you realize we're ready for the main event? They have given up on making the Hall of Fame a star-studded marquee ticket-selling event on its own. And that's why they maybe just kind of shipped it in after SmackDown, because...
Well, you are limited somewhat. If you have to contractually do a Friday Night Live SmackDown on TV and you're doing 2 nights of WrestleMania and you have NXT, when else are you going to do it?
Well, fuck. Sunday morning's open, isn't it? They could do church service and Hall of Fame.
It's kind of what the Hall of Fame is. But okay.
But anyway, it just in years past there was more, but yeah, you're right. And it's not like we should be asking for more programming at this point. But it is time for our main event on the Hall of Fame, and let's be honest. I liked the Steiners' introduction. I liked all the introductions. They were nice, but people would have been pissed if this had not been the main event, don't you think?
Oh, there was nothing else that even compared to this.
Yeah.
In the history of their Hall of Fame, there may be no one else who would have been above The Undertaker. I mean, he's one of their favorites.
Well, besides
and
that,
deserving.
Yeah. And just besides that, this saved it, and that late at night, and nobody cared. I mean, what was it? 11:45 for real, he came out. And he overstayed the time that I'm sure that they had allotted him, and that was a good thing too, because actually they should have just induct the Undertaker in the Hall of Fame, and the show would have been shorter, and everybody would still been as happy.
So how long do you think Mark Calloway's been working on this public speaking routine? Because it seemed like there were parts of this that were absolutely about wrestling for a wrestling audience. I'm in the Hall of Fame. And there were parts of this that were, I'm taking this on the road.
Yeah, it was a dry run. We're working it out in Scranton before we take it on the road.
TED Talk with The Undertaker.
But, well, first of all, the great package again. We've talked about all these men's packages. They all have great packages. And then here comes Vince to do the induction. And he controlled the walk a little bit. He had a little swagger, but it wasn't like it was over the top. Has he lost weight to you?
Well, yeah, he's an older man. I think he has shrunk a little in height and also lost weight, yeah.
But I've never seen Vince looking like a normal person. He looks more like his father facially than ever, and his voice has gotten gruffier. But in some parts here, he was reading a teleprompter. You could tell, and especially when he rattled off all those names of Taker's opponents. Brian Lee got a mention. And then Vince tried to explain it. He wouldn't say fake Undertaker. He said faux Undertaker. The faux Undertaker. By the way, do you know what a faux diamond is, Brian?
What's a faux diamond?
That was a question that was asked on a TV show I saw years ago. One of the Man in the Street interview. They're trying to find out if people know what a faux diamond. Obviously, it's a phony. It's a fake. It's FAUX, faux diamond, like faux news. Somebody said, "Is that a diamond with faux corners?" So anyway. But Vince got off the teleprompter and brightened up when he started talking about Shotgun Saturday Night. Did you see that in his face? He still loves that show.
Yeah, he's got 8 memories, and whoever scripted this for him, whoever wrote this, because he didn't write this, they knew exactly what little anecdotes to go to.
Well, and again, you can tell when Vince's face brightens when he has a fond memory, and he loved that fakakta program. To sound like Finkel. That was a shitty program, but he loved the flying nuns and me taking the Mexican midget in the bathroom at the bus station and trying to lift him up so he could use the urinal, and the Terry Funk and the, craziness at the saloon and all this stuff. But he loved that TV show. And it was true. What he said was true. They just, in those days, that was 1997, they just took a camera guy and an audio guy and Vince and, whoever the talent was. And I'd be there, Bruce would be there. And we just shoot shit in New York fucking City with no permission whatsoever. And there was, at one point, that's when Taker gave Triple H the tombstone on the escalator at what? You're the New York expert. What location was that? The bus terminal, the Port Authority? Where was it?
Oh, I actually thought it was the Amtrak side of Penn Station, but maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, well, Penn State. See, we were in all these places. And, and we just showed up and there's a camera. Now they might shoot us. They'd think some kind of fucking terrorism was going on or something.
Give Triple H credit. I would never, ever even consider taking a tombstone on an escalator.
On an escalator.
That's insane.
And not even the up escalator, but the down escalator.
Imagine if his hair got caught in that thing.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, they tried to what, Vince, and he fucking shut him up. Did you see that?
I did.
That was good. So anyway, he introduces The Undertaker, and here comes the entrance, and now the people are popping. Because think about it. It's midnight, and they've been in the building since 7 o'clock to watch the SmackDown show that we just talked about and this Hall of Fame. So, okay, we've got it now. The main event is here. Big standing ovation. I still get goosebumps on that intro. I got goosebumps laying in my bed watching this on television. I got goosebumps on my arms because I remember when you would stand in the ring in a major arena. And this is one of the first programs that I was in when I got to WWF, right? Was Yoko and Undertaker, and standing in the middle of the ring in one of those NBA arenas for a television or a pay-per-view with the Undertaker's entrance and the flashing lights and the lightning and all that shit. That was some cool shit. You would get goosebumps. And he carried that off. It was nobody else could have got away with that. But he had the people in the palm of his hand. Anyway, he had when he got in the ring, he had the headset microphone on so he could walk around. And I didn't know, like you said, I didn't know that he was going to audition a motivational speaking thing, but I thought that's brilliant because he doesn't need to be static and stand there. This is what they've waited to see. So he needed to be able to open up and talk to all the people. And the standing ovation and the chants, "You deserve it," and "Thank you, Taker," just took forever, and he drank them all in. And he became pretty much Mark Calloway right away. And in the past, I would have said, and I think I have even said, why ever break that character, break that kayfabe, show your real self? It was so magic. But he's done now, even though there was a tease, he's done now. There was a reason for it. He did a fantastic job of it. And also, to be honest, that's what those people paid for. They won't remember anything else about the matches or maybe a few things with the Hall of Fame, but they're going to remember that for the first time ever in the history of ever, not The Undertaker, but Mark Calloway talked to them like a person for an hour. That has never happened before, and I wish I could say it'll never happen again, then it'd be unique. But I have a feeling, like you said, we're going to see some more of it. But maybe not in a wrestling venue. So Brian, here's another trivia question. Who was the first person to book Mark Calloway on national television?
Jim Cornette, Kevin Sullivan, or Ric Flair?
Well, actually, I was going to leave off Kevin and Ric Flair.
I knew you were. I was giving the team credit.
Because honestly and truthfully, and I'll give Dutch Mantell an asterisk also, but honestly and truthfully, I booked Mark because we needed the skyscraper. And I've forgotten which one was it. It was Sid that got hurt. He replaced Sid. We needed a skyscraper, and I told Rick, they got a 7-foot guy in Memphis I can call Dutch Mantell. And Rick just said, okay, if you think he'll fit, if Dutch says he's okay, do it. So I actually booked him. Bye, Cracky. But anyway, so he started the speech with the story of some of his brother's advice where he was down on his luck and his brother advised him to follow his dream. And then we got the mental signature moves that apparently are going to be a part of his motivational tour. But the first one was no surprise. How many times have I said that? That's Vince McMahon's favorite statement. Perception is reality. And in this case, it was about people perceiving that Mark was an asshole because the job guy fucked up and he beat him up or whatever. But that's what Vince will say. That's what Bruce will say. That's what everybody that's been around Vince McMahon for any amount of time will say. And it's actually, you can kind of see it now in modern life. Vince has been ahead of the curve. It's true. It's not what's factual and what is real. It's what people think is real and factual that they believe. Perception is reality. He mentioned everybody. Stephanie was the little sister he never wanted. Godfather. They mentioned Yokozuna, the whole Bone Street crew. Bryan Adams, he was very close friends with. He teared up over that. Paul Bearer, Glenn, obviously. Thanks some of the legends. He mentioned Perry Jackson, Action Jackson, right? Helped him out when Buzz Sawyer fucked him. He even mentioned Bruce, Terry Anderson, the seamstress, his team of doctors, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, his family. No Mick Foley. Do you think he glossed over it, or is there something going on there? Or did he just think he did, but he didn't?
Well, there are a lot of guys he didn't thank. He didn't thank you. He didn't thank Paul Heyman. He didn't thank...
Well,
did he thank Dutch?
He didn't mention Dutch.
I mean, there's a lot of guys. He thanked pretty much people in the room. Hey, Glenn and Triple H and Shawn.
But Undertaker and Mick Foley.
I agree. I would think if he was going to go through a list of his most memorable opponents, Mick Foley would have to be on top of that list for that one match alone.
He should have thanked Ricky Morton because he said it was advice from his father. I think his father stole it from Ricky Morton because I've heard Ricky say it for 40 years. Be careful about the toes you step on the way up because they may be connected to the ass you got to kiss on the way back down. And then he thanked his wife. His wife is the one that got him into religion. So I'm telling you, Brian, it's these women that will lead a man astray every time. And then he thanked Vince and the WWE Universe. Rest in peace. He starts to leave, and then he looks back, sees one of the outfits. They've got the Undertaker outfits on display there. He goes, he takes the coat, he takes the hat, he puts on the hat, and he says, never say never. Music, and we're out of here. He left it open just in case, because
that was honestly a kiss on the cheek to Vince. That's what Vince wants to hear. Never say never.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that he should necessarily ever wrestle again or even do a cinematic match. But you can't mean to tell me that Undertaker, in a few years at WrestleMania as an enforcer, as a, not necessarily a referee, but as someone brought onto the scene to make sure that the playing field is level or that all things are equal or whatever. That's the equivalent of what they've done this year with Austin. So I would hope that maybe once in a few years at WrestleMania, we will see just to get a chance to wave at him again. Something like that. But it was a hell of a speech. He went for an hour. And for a guy who, I don't know that I've ever heard Taker talk that much in person, not on television. He's not a braggadocious nor a loquacious individual. He a man of few words and says what he means, right? It's not like he can't talk, but he doesn't usually go on to that extent. So this was a first time in the history of history for a lot of things. That made it worth it to me, the whole Hall of Fame thing.
It was nice. I can't really complain about it at all. It was nice. I actually like the setup. I like the idea they have the talent. Although, you got to separate who's feuding, but they have the talent up there watching, and I like the idea of everyone getting that one last entrance. You're coming down the aisle. It's pretty cool. I liked it.
Well, and at least nobody hit the ring or the stage or the podium like they did a few years ago. Because I don't know what would happen this time. FTR's not there to bail them out.
That's right.
But, Brian, it is, I guess, the end of an era. Somebody that has been at the top of the mountain in professional wrestling for so long, an icon, a megastar, that now all we got is the memories. How are we going to remember The Undertaker, you say? How are we going to commemorate what he has meant to us, ladies and gentlemen? I say to you, oil painting. That's what I say to you. Not plastics, but oil painting. Because, folks, you're not going to have The Undertaker to kick around on a regular basis anymore, so you've got to remember him. And I think that the perfect way would be make that memory last forever. Turn to paintyourlife.com. If you're making memories on vacations or holidays with the family or friends, you want to turn some of those into art. It's a great idea for a gift for birthdays, anniversaries, weddings. All you got to do is log on to paintyourlife.com, and you can order from a team of world-class artists a professional hand-painted portrait created from any photograph at an affordable price, or combine pictures of people or places that you love into one painting, even if they were in the same place. You can put Mick Foley next to Undertaker at the Hall of Fame and right the wrong that was done to our friend Cactus Jack. You just go and you choose the painting. You work with the artists until every detail is perfect. You can get this picture in as little as 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, whether it's friends, loved ones, family, candid photography, I haven't heard of anybody getting turned down for wanting to turn a photograph into a painting. So maybe you could line the walls with paintings that would go into the Playboy Mansion at one point in time. Just depends on what kind of pictures you got in your archives. But the point is, paintyourlife.com, there's no risk. If you don't love the final painting, your money is refunded, guaranteed, and right now is a limited time offer only. You can get 20% off your painting and free shipping if you text the word DRIVE, D-R-I-V-E, to 64,000. That's DRIVE to 64000. Paint your life. Celebrate the moments that matter most. Message and data rates may apply. Terms apply. Available at paintyourlife.com/terms.